Latest football news, engaging debates,
and fascinating opinions.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio. Hello and welcome to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio's back for another week of football action with your host as always, George. I hope you're having a good week. Hope you're keeping yourself safe away from this nasty storm we've got out there, blowing an absolute hoolie out there. It's not very nice and, football games. Good there's no football games going on because, the ball would be moving away from that corner flag ever so slightly. But before we get on what's coming in today's show, I better mention our co-host as always and our regular Ipswich Town fan. It is Dan. Dan, how are you doing, mate? Are you keeping safe? You're not getting blown about out there when you're trying to play football as always?
No, it's been fine. I'm safe, so you don't have to worry. But yeah, good to be back again. Another show.
Yes, another show. Well, what is coming on today's show? Well, before I even mention that, I better mention the social medias. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk. Instagram is at Talk_Pitch. YouTube and Mixcloud are both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any previous shows you missed last week's, do not worry. It's there on YouTube and Mixcloud. So, in coming on today's show, we'll be talking about MK Dons versus Ipswich Town. Yes, Ipswich Town away day trip where they took nearly 7,000 fans. Yes, 7,000 fans to MK Dons. And we'll see how they got on shortly. And then the Premier League for game week number 25. We've had 11 games, lots of goals, lots of interesting moves around the Premier League. So we'll be discussing about that. And the Champions League roundup, yes, is back for the last 16, the first of the knockout stages for 4 games of the first 8. And we'll see how 2 of the English sides got on in their European games. But when we come back, we'll be talking about Ipswich Town and how they got on at MK Dons. So don't go anywhere. Stay up to date with the latest footy news. Pitchside Talk on IO Radio. Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio. Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George, and Dan, as always. Now, before we move on, talking about how Ipswich Town got on at Stadium MK this week. I did get that correct, Dan, before we move on. It was Stadium MK, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You got it right.
Yes, I got it right. If you'd done it from last week, I couldn't remember what the stadium was. I thought it was Stadium Dons or Dons Stadium or whatever I said, but Stadium MK. Well, before we move on and talk about that a little bit, we better mention social media. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk. Instagram is at Talk_Pitch. YouTube, Mixcloud are both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of the previous shows and you missed last week's show, don't worry, it's up there on YouTube and Mixcloud for you to listen back to. Whenever you want to, you can listen back to it now, an hour's time, whenever. It's all up there for you to listen back. And now, Ipswich Town, after a really productive week where they got a maximum of 6 points from back-to-back games as they continue their charge to get into the playoff places this season, as Kieran McKenna's side faced another massive challenge on Saturday afternoon, taking on MK Dons, who are currently sitting in the playoff places as they are trying to challenge for the automatic promotions as well. So they currently sit in 3rd place in League One. And well, for both sides, it was a massive game really for them, a game which could define each other's seasons and what ambitions they could achieve. The Town with trying to achieve playoffs, the MK Dons, is it going to be a challenge for the playoffs or for automatic promotion? And well, on the day, neither side could find a way to get 3 points, just sharing a point instead. But Dan, nearly the travelling 7,000 Ipswich Town fans, unfortunately didn't see a winning goal, with both sides lacking that killer blow. But for Town, if you look on the positives here, they are now 5 points off the playoff places, the closest they've been all season. All season in February, they're now close to being 5 points. But does it feel like a missed opportunity on the other hand, where they're playing a side who are sitting 3rd, they got a 0-0 draw, they looked really good against them, and they just couldn't get that killer blow that was needed?
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit frustrating in that sense, but I guess the game was a pleasing performance as well, though. It was a tight one, as I think we were all expecting. We know how good of a team MK Dons have been under Liam Manning, not Luke Manning, that I think I called him last week, but it is Liam Manning. they've been really good this season. As we all know, they're sitting third in the table. So it was going to be a tough game, but I thought we played well. It was very even in the first half. Could have really gone either way in the first half. And, it just wasn't much chances really, but I thought we did okay. Second half, we kept the ball well. And I think we kind of played against what MK Dons were trying to do, which, both us and MK, both are, passing teams in this league, and we like to have the ball on the ground. So trying to stop MK doing that and doing that ourselves, we kind of, did good at doing that. So yeah, it was a pleasing performance. I think MK Dons probably edged it in chances, but we're expecting to see good performances from our side now, and we definitely saw that. It's just frustrating, I guess, that the 7,000 fans. Hats off to everyone that went, because that is fantastic support as always. To take 7,000 is brilliant. It's just frustrating that we couldn't get the ball over the line and go home with 3 points, which I think we probably, to be fair, I think a draw was probably a fair result in the end, but we could have edged it. So yeah, a little bit of frustration there, but overall, I think before the game, I would have probably taken a point. So we're closer to the playoffs now, only 5 points, as you say, closest we've been this year. We're getting closer and closer. Yeah, and when you look at the table now and the games we've got coming up, it's only looking up, really, isn't it?
Yes, it's only looking up really at the moment for Ipswich Town. But Kieran McKenna, as always, he gave his thoughts after the game where he felt his side shaded it, adding a little bit more. I thought in the first half it was even Stevens with two good teams trying to impose their styles. The second half, I thought we went through the gears with our performance levels. We took a lot of control in the large majority, and we built some good pressure, dominating the ball. And oh God, Dad, you've put me off here. I'll put myself off. It's not good. Had most of it in their own half, and again, some decent opportunities. A point, we won't cry about it, but I felt we shaded it in terms of the better chances in the game, and I felt we would have just deserved to have nicked that one. But Dan, some interesting thoughts from McKenna as always, but can you sort of sense a little bit of disappointment here? Because in the factors he's listed here, Town have played well, they've had good possession, good pressure, dominated the ball, but have not walked away with 3 points. And when we've played in games where we've dominated the ball and had good possession, we've won the game. So is it a little bit disappointing from his half? But at the end of the day, we can't argue about a point against a side that are sitting in third place, trying to challenge for automatics here.
No, I don't think anyone's upset with it. Let's just put it that way. But I think you can understand if McKenna is a little bit disappointed, because I think as a football manager, you want to win games, don't you? And if you think your team could have won it, then I guess you'd be a little bit disappointed with that. So yeah, I maybe there's a sense of disappointment, but I think he knows that overall it's a good point against a team, as you say, who have been pretty good this year, who play a very similar style to we do. So yeah, I don't think any Ipswich fan or any of the players really will come away from that and think that was a bad point, because it wasn't. And the performance, we're kind of having consistent performances now, which is really good to see, and that carried on. But I guess taking chances is something we need to work on a little bit, because we've been winning games 1-0 a lot under McKenna, which I'm not going to complain about. It's still 3 points at the end of the day, but I'd really love to see us win 3 or 4-0 in one game, just to secure the win, I guess, instead of living on the edge with 1-0 wins. But I think McKenna, he knows what needs to be done in every single game. I think that's what I've been pleased with the most. He looks at the opposition team and knows how they play, and I guess in training, our players he gets our players to kind of train against what they're going to do, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
no matter what team it is. And I think that was good against Gillingham and Doncaster, where we didn't go into it. The interviews that I saw, he didn't really go into it saying we should win this, we're the better team. He really took into account what threats Doncaster and Gillingham had. And I think he'd done that in the MK Dons game as well, because of the way we played, we really counteracted what MK Dons were trying to do quite a lot in that game. So I think he's definitely disappointed that we didn't win the game. But as you say, it's a good point, and the performance was good, and I think the players kind of did what they needed to do.
Yeah, there's a sense of reaction, but I know we've probably spoken about it as well, but does it show how adaptable he is to his squad? It's not stuck in a rigid way. We're going to play this formation, we're going to play like this, and each week the team is just going to suss us out, or we're going to absolutely demolish the team. Does that show how adaptable he is? And he looks at every game and not going to go, I'm going to play like this and we're not going to get the win. We're going to get the win at every single opportunity we can. We're going to get points, or we're going to get free.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was definitely shown against MK Dons, because he started Jackson, who, that was a massive surprise, and all the fans were saying that he shouldn't have been doing that. But he knew that this wasn't a game that Bonn and Norwood would, it would benefit them. It would benefit Jackson most, with the way MK Dons played. And what do you know? He proved us all wrong, and Jackson had a good game and did what he needed to do. So it definitely shows the adaptability McKenna has, and it's really good to see, because we haven't had it. I can't remember last time we had a manager who was so willing to change things during games as well, and willing to give everyone a chance, which definitely is being shown. So yeah, I'm excited under McKenna, and in the nine games he's had so far, it's just been really good signs. And the fact that players like Jackson have come back into the squad and been given a chance is, shows what type of a manager McKenna is. And long may it continue, because we need to get out of League One.
Yes, we do. Well, we will actually, funny enough, talk about Ken Jackson in a little bit. But before we do get onto that, something that I think a lot of fans and press have noticed quite recently about Town this season is they may have got the point on Saturday, but still this season, they haven't registered 3 wins in a row. I think under McKenna now, it's the second opportunity he's missed getting 3 wins in a row. But, if in another game as well, where they failed to beat a side in the top 6. Dan, I think a little bit concerning, really, of a stat to hear this, because this late into the season, still no wins in a row, 3 wins in a row, and no wins versus a top 6 side. We're sort of seeing this common theme, a run throughout Town not beating top 6 sides for the last few seasons. It was very notable under Paul Lambert that Town couldn't really beat a top 6 side until they actually did beat a top 6 side out of the Blue and Hull, who actually kind of got promoted to the Championship later that season. But is this a problem that could be something that, if it goes later on down the line, could potentially cost Town in the long run not beating a top 6 side when they're trying to challenge for these playoff places? Because they still have got to play 3 of them.
Yeah, obviously, I think that's a concern. You've got to beat teams in and around you, haven't you? So I think this season we've doubled Wickham. Can't remember who else we've kind of beaten in the top 6. So yeah, I think going into the end of the season, that could be a factor. But I think at this moment in time, I don't think we're really thinking about that. We're just thinking we need to pick up wins as they come. I think we're just going game by game and not really thinking of where other teams are in the league. And I think that's the thing we need to do. With the 3 wins in a row, we'd love to see 3 wins in a row, wouldn't we? I think that'd be brilliant. But I think 2 wins and a draw, if we keep doing that, that's promotion form, isn't it? So I'd take that as well. But yeah, I think 3 wins in a row would be great. And if you look at the next 3 games, we've got Burton, Cheltenham and Morecambe, and no disrespect to them, but that's more than possible, I think, to get 3 wins out of that. So we'll wait and see if that happens. But yeah, I think, as I say, McKenna and the players are. I think you can notice really that they were taking it game by game and not really paying attention on form and whereabouts in the league we are. I think we just need to do that, just quietly go about our business and see how it ends up. But yeah, the game is against the top 6 clubs coming up at the end of this season are going to be massive. I think we've got Rotherham and Wigan. Two of them games in the last 4 games of the season as well. So they're going to be massive. So yeah, let's see what happens. But yeah, we're taking it game by game at the moment.
Yep, taking it game by game. That is the policy. Well, under Kieran McKenna, he has not been afraid to make changes here and there to his side on a week-to-week basis. And as Dan mentioned before, we saw Kalen Jackson, who made an appearance since Kieran McKenna took charge of the club. I think it's his second appearance now, isn't it? He played against, was it Wimbledon he played?
Yes, he started against Wimbledon, which we won as well.
Yeah, we did. Well, this choice to play him at striker on Saturday caused some sort of concerns from the fans. They have voiced his concerns. We've sort of seen what's been going on with Kane Jackson the last few seasons, playing really quite well. Not many people are rating that highly, and then all the transfer fiasco, not playing under managers, all that. But he played on Saturday, and he might have not scored the goal on the day, but he played very well, causing a lot of problems for that MK Dons defence, darting runs, and so much so he forced the goalkeeper into the save in the second half. But Dan, Ken Jackson, he's had a lot of bad press in the last few seasons whilst being at Ipswich Town, but he was sort of in and out under Paul Lambert. He played quite a lot in his first season under Paul Lambert, but then the second season that tailed off, and then under Paul Cook, no looking at all. 2 failed transfers, one to Huddersfield, then the next to Bournemouth. But how under Kieran McKenna, he's getting a chance to striker, and and every time he takes it, he's playing quite well. And we all know his contract is up at the end of summer, and he doesn't have a 12-month extension. Shock horror for an Ipswich Town player; they don't have a 12-month extension. But could he potentially, at the moment, be Town's regular striker if he's playing this well? And will he potentially earn a new contract in the summer? Will we see that, or will it just be he's just coming for rotation, unfortunately?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say in that sense. But yeah, he came in against MK Dons and surprised everyone pretty much. I don't think anyone was expecting him to come in. But our strikers, if you look at the last few games, haven't really been scoring many goals. Bond's kind of gone off it, hasn't he? And Norwood, he had a spell around Christmas time, didn't he? Where he was scoring every game pretty much. Pigott has really not really been great, but he hasn't really got a chance, has he? To be fair to him, so yeah, just a mixed bag, I guess. But yeah, to see Jackson come in straight away was a bit of an odd one for me. At 2:00. But fair play to Jackson. He played well, and McKenna knew, as I said before, that Jackson was the type of player we needed in that game, and it worked well. He was putting the defenders under pressure. He was making darting runs. We all know what the type of pace he has, and he just couldn't. A goal would have topped that off. But I think we've got to give him praise, because I think in the situation he's been in, he's had, he's been a transfer target for Huddersfield and Bournemouth, as you say. He hasn't had a look in this season at all. You'd think he wouldn't be happy to be here, and he wouldn't want to play games, but he's come in and put his head down and played well against MK Dons, which is really good to see, because I know that people don't really rate him, and I don't know what it is about him, but I've always said on the show that I think there's a player in there, and a player that can do really well in this league, especially in League One. So I'm pleased we gave him a chance, and let's wait and see if he plays on Saturday. It'll be interesting because I don't think we can really predict what the lineups are going to be under McKenna, because it kind of depends on what opposition we're playing. Because I think Burton are more of a stronger team, so maybe he'll start Bon or Norwood. But I think Jackson deserves a chance as much as any other player, really, because he's stuck it out and he's still here and he played well on Saturday. So let's see what happens.
Yes, let's see what happens. Well, we're not going to move away from the football that happened on Saturday into something that's happened off the pitch for Ipswich Town. Something that's, well, a really good campaign Ipswich Town have joined. Ipswich Town have joined the Her Game 2 campaign, which looks to eradicate sexism from football. A lot of clubs have joined this. Ipswich Town are the biggest sort of size of club to join this campaign, where they try to eradicate sexism from football. Dan, it's such a brilliant campaign this is, that Ipswich Town have joined, and we've sort of seen Town increase a lot of their presence in the community quite recently. Colin Chaplin, he joined the Rainbow Tractors as well quite recently. The first ever, I think the first footballer from the men's squad to join that campaign, which is really good to see. And a lot of presence in the community as well, starting to be increased by Town. But joining this campaign here is really quite needed, because this is a big issue in football. You see it all the time on Twitter. This sort of horrible comments directed to ladies and girls, and that it's absolutely horrible and horrific to see. But with Town, the couple of sides join this, it just shows how good this campaign is, and it is needed. We need to get rid of this away from football, because this football is everybody's game.
It is, absolutely, and I'm so glad that we've decided to join the campaign, because, as you say, it's everyone's game. Women deserve to go to football just as much as anyone else. It's not, it's there to be watched by everyone. So when you see comments from people on Twitter, it's people under fake names and
yeah,
just commenting stupid stuff on Twitter, which is just it's horrible to see. So yeah, I'm really, really glad that we've joined this, and hopefully that gives I guess women who don't think that they can come to football because they'll get comments on whatever, hopefully that will give them the confidence to think, if my club's behind that, then I can go and watch the football, because we don't want anyone to miss out, do we? Especially with how well Town are playing at the moment. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased to see it, and hopefully more clubs do the same. I'm not sure how many clubs are partnered with this, but hopefully in the end every club's joined to it, because as you say, it's a really important thing, and we need to stop the comments and the stuff on social media. And yeah, I'm just pleased that we've gone down that road. And as you say, I think since Mark Ashton's come in, we've done more for the community. We didn't really see that much with Marcus Evans. Chaplin joining the Rainbow Tractors as well, having a player join that group. It's great to see that as well. So yeah, the club is really getting behind some good groups, and it's really good to see.
Yes, it's really, really good to see as well. Well, now back to the football. Ipswich Town, they are back at home this week with 2 back-to-back games. Kieran McKenna's side search for another win, which could take them closer to the playoff places, could potentially take them 2 points closer to the playoff places. And the visitors today are Burton Albion, who are currently, on the road. They sit in 12th, only 5 points off Town. They did pick up their first win in 4 games versus Bolton, a 3-0 win at home against them. But this season, they've only picked up 15 points away from home compared to 28 this season. But Dan, another crucial game for Ipswich Town. They can go 2 points off the playoff places with all 3 points here. But for Burton Albion, they got that win on Tuesday. And we have to remember, at the start of the season, they beat Town 1-0.
They did, yeah. So sorry if you heard my dog there, but yeah. It's going to be a difficult game, I think. Burton, they've got a decent squad, I think, in this league. they've had an okay season so far. It's a game that we really, really need to win going into it, because we're 5 points off the playoffs. Luckily, Sheffield Wednesday's game got called off during the week, so we've got that buffer there as well. So, of course, it's going to be a tough game, and we really need to be on our game to win it. And Burton, brilliant win during the week as well against Bolton, who, Bolton are on a really good run, and they were 3-0 up within 15 minutes, so or 20 minutes or whatever it was. So it's going to be a hard game to predict and a really close one, but I'm still confident. I think I'm confident going into every game now, and I think we'll be able to get the win and hopefully another clean sheet as well. So I think it'll be another 1-0 win, and I think we'll all take that.
That's all right here about your dog, mate. I think your dog was saying a 1-0 win as well for Ipswich Town. But yeah, Dan, he's gone for a 1-0 win for Ipswich Town this weekend against Burton Albion. So if that does happen, Town will go 2 points off the playoff places. Touch wood, that does happen. But let's know what your score positions are for Ipswich Town versus Burton Albion. Will Town get the win, or will Burton steal all 3 points and play that pantomime villain? Let's hope not. But that is all for your Ipswich Town and news this week. And when we come back, we'll be talking about the Premier League game week number 25, where we saw 11 games, plenty of goals, lots of movement around the table at the top and at the bottom. So we'll be right back after.
The best place in Ipswich to hear the latest football debates, Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio. Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George, and your co-host, as always, Dan. And before we move on talking about the Premier League game week number 25, I better mention the social medias, which is Twitter at Pitchside Talk, Instagram is talk_pitch, YouTube and Pitchside both at Pitchside Talk. And if you missed anything from today's show, do not worry. At 6 p.m. on Friday, the show will be up for you to listen back to. If you missed us talking about Ipswich Town this week against MK Dons, do not worry. That'll be up there on YouTube and Mixcloud. Now, we better talk about the Premier League. And we've had, after that thrilling midweek game week we had in the Premier League, we had another thrilling game week just around the corner on the weekend, where 11 games were played, seeing plenty of goals. Teams who needed points, they got them at the right time, and changes in the top four and the relegation battle. So let's have a look at the results. And it kicked off with a 1-1 draw at Old Trafford, as Manchester United got a point against Southampton in a 1-1 draw. Brentford, they draw 0-0 with Crystal Palace, as we saw Christian Eriksen walk out to the pitch to an absolute applause. And he might be starting a game soon, funny enough. Everton, they got their first win under Frank Lampard in the league, a 3-0 win over Leeds. Brighton won 2-1 over Watford, adding a little bit more misery now to Roy Hodgson, who's still searching for his first win as the Hornets' boss. And Man City, they got a convincing win over Norwich, 4-0. And then for Sunday, Liverpool, they won 1-0 against Burnley, keeping up chase with Manchester City. Newcastle won 1-0 against Aston Villa. Spurs suffered a third defeat in a row, so they lost 2-0 to Wolves. And Leicester and West Ham ended in a 2-2 draw, as West Ham fought back. And for Manchester United on Tuesday against Brighton, that ended 2-0 to Manchester United. But kicking off with the games down here, and Newcastle, they came with a bang, moving 4 points clear of that drop zone with their third straight win, thanks to Kieran Trippier's free kick, which was the difference on the day. Eddie Howe, he was pleased with his size, gritty win, as Newcastle got their first straight win since the 18/19 season. Dan, Newcastle, they're hitting form at the right time. The new players are playing well. This side looks absolutely changed at the moment under the new ownership and under Eddie Howe with his style he plays. And with the games, with teams with games above them in hand as well, it's going to sort of be, these points are going to be quite crucial for Newcastle. But is it a bit of a major blow as well as the goal scorer, Kieran Trippier, a key player to this side? He goes off and he's now got a foot injury, which you don't know how long he's going to be out for.
Yeah, I feel like it's a bit typical, isn't it, for Newcastle, that they kind of start hitting form and Kieran Trippier starts playing really well, and then he gets that injury. Hopefully it's not too long, but that will be a massive blow for Newcastle because he's been playing so well. But as for them as a team, picking up points, which, finally, it's been a long time coming. Even after the new owners came in, it was quite a while before they started picking up form. So it's good to see them winning again, rising out of the bottom three, because I think, as everyone knows and we've said before, they're a huge club, and you don't like to see them in the Championship, really. So, I mean, I'm sure they'll be pleased to get out the bottom three, but it's still work to do. And if Kieran Trippier's injury is quite a long one, then that could be a big miss for them. But a good win against Villa, and as Eddie Howe said, a gritty win. And I think that's what's needed, really, in this final half of the season, isn't it? You just need to pick up wins where you can. It doesn't matter how you play. Just pick up wins, and that will surely get you out of the bottom three. And it's working at the moment.
Yeah, it's this sort of win quite crucial for them, really, because if you look, Norwich lost, Watford lost, Burnley lost. Is this 3 points here going to be massive in the terms of that these three sides below them lost, and Newcastle picked 3 points up here as well?
Yeah, it is a crucial win, and the fact that Norwich also have played one more game than them, the gap is 4 points at the moment, isn't it? Yeah. So they've played one more game, Norwich, so they could still increase that gap still. So yeah, I think they really needed to win this game desperately, and with teams around them not picking up points, it's even more crucial that they got this over the line. And I think that's just what they need to keep doing, just clawing wins. I don't know who they play next. They've got West Ham next away, so that's a pretty tough game. You'd say West Ham are probably favourites in that one, but then they've got Brentford and Brighton. So, I think they'd probably look at them and think winnable, but tough games at the same time. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. But they just need to keep winning games, and they've got off to finally a decent run. So let's see if it continues.
Let's see if it does continue as well. We will keep a keen eye on Newcastle's progress. And another team we'll be keeping a keen eye on is Tottenham Hotspur. This game showed how much work is needed to be done at Spurs under Antonio Conte's guidance after a disappointing loss to Wolves, as 2 goals were conceded in the first 18 minutes, which saw the third successive defeat inflicted to Antonio Conte's side. His first time since 9 years ago. He's had 9 straight league losses. Dan, Spurs' top 4 chances are continuously fading away. Another loss, which now sees them sit 7 points away from that top 4, and even, 1 point away from the Europa Conference League spots. But it just feels like everything is starting to collapse since that Chelsea loss. Everything was looking so rosy. No unbeaten Conte since he joined in October. Since the loss to Chelsea, it's all gone wrong, and Spurs seem to be lacking a lot of heart in defending. And you can see the frustration that how good of a manager Antonio Conte is. He can't seem to stop the slippery slope at the moment.
No, it must be really frustrating for him. And we all know what a fantastic manager he is, and what he's done in the Premier League is as well. So, yeah, it's so frustrating, and it's been so poor for Tottenham, and another poor loss as well. And if they want Europe this year, they can't be losing to teams like Wolves, who are in and around them, who themselves look like they're picking up points. So yeah, Tottenham have so much work to do, and we've said so many times on this show that their transfer business hasn't been good enough. I think they signed a couple of players from Juventus in January, didn't they?
Yes.
I guess we'll see how they do in the coming games. I don't know how well I think one of them played, didn't they?
Bentancur played, and Kulusevski is the other player. Just to help you.
Yes, okay. Yeah, thanks. I completely forgot their names, so thank you.
All right.
But so we'll see how they do. But we've said so many times that they need a good transfer window, and it's just been disappointing for them. And it just looks like this season's kind of just going to fade out again. There's still time, obviously, and with Conte in charge, they've got a world-class manager to do that, but it's just the morale, it seems so low, and they're just lacking quality, as you say, in defence as well. It's just not looking good for them, which is disappointing.
No, it's not looking good for them at all. And they've got a very big game week coming up. So they play Man City away on Saturday, and then they play one of their catch-up games against Burnley on the Wednesday. So an opportunity here for Spurs to try and claw back some points. But Dan, we better mention about Wolves here, because they're now dreaming big. They're only 6 points off the top 4 places. They currently sit in Europe at the moment, not too far away from Europa League spots, only 2 points away. For them, they've got 2 back-to-back games coming up, same as Spurs. They've got a game against Leicester and then Arsenal, who are currently occupying that last Europa League spot. There's no reason why Wolves here can't get European football next season, is there?
No, there is no reason at all. I think if you're close enough to that goal, then why not go for it? And Wolves have been look so impressive recently. As you say, they've got some really big games coming up. They've got 2 games in 4 days, which I'm sure they'll probably moan about, but that's how it is. And coming up against Arsenal as well, that's going to be a huge game. So I think Wolves can easily aim for that, because they're looking really, really good. And I think that's a bit of a surprise, because I think when Bruno Lager came in, or however you pronounce his name, he couldn't pick up a win in the first few games, could he?
He couldn't pick up a goal, I don't think.
No, a goal. They didn't even score a goal. So it looked really disappointing from them. So what a turnaround he's made. And I think they've got a really exciting squad at Wolves. And why not dream for Europe? Because I think it's definitely possible with the way they're playing. Let's see how they do in their next 3 games, because I think they've got West Ham after Arsenal as well. So some really, really big games for them.
Yes, some really big games that could change the course of their season. And now we will talk about the game that happened on Tuesday night, the first of one of the catch-up games from back in December, the Bowmans. It was Manchester United versus Brighton. And Cristiano Ronaldo, he ended his 6-game drought in spectacular style as Manchester United picked up from that disappointing draw they got at Southampton to get all 3 points against Brighton, and crucially moved them back into the top 4 ahead of West Ham, 2 points now clear of West Ham. Dan, Manchester United performances this season under Ralph Rangnick have been described as Jekyll and Hyde. I think it's Jekyll and Hyde. Yeah, Jekyll and Hyde of recently. I think even Ralph Rangnick even said that's how their performances have been. But can we say this is the best performance we've seen so far from Manchester United? Some great pressing, some really good overall play, not letting it slip in the second half, but crucially, they could have scored more goals tonight. But they're now back in the top 4 where they want to be, but they need to be performing consistently like this if they want to achieve top 4, don't they?
Yeah, of course they do. And that's also been a problem for them, isn't it? Just inconsistency. And, I think this game against Brighton, who have been pretty decent themselves this year, is a big confidence boost for Rangnick and his players, because it's been just looks so disjointed at Man United, and not being able to keep hold of 1-0 leads and just keep conceding goals in important moments. So I guess this win has, lifted them up the table into the top 4, and it will be a big confidence boost. It's interesting because it's been a strange season for United, because I feel like we look back on it and think it's been a really poor season for them. But I think at the end of this, they will take top 4, and obviously that's the aim, to be in that top 4 and to be in Champions League next year. And with the squad they have, you expect them to do that. So yeah, really good performance from them, and let's see if it continues. It'll be, I'm really, really fascinated to see what happens to Rangnick, and if he keeps picking up wins after this, and this performance helps them. Let's see if he joins them permanently, because there was kind of rumours of that, wasn't there? But let's see if that happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens. The rumours have died off at the moment. I
think they
have
a little bit.
I think there's a bit of tension because he couldn't sign anybody in January, only because they didn't want him start signing players and then they get somebody in permanently as his successor. But we'll have to wait and see. Manchester United situation is still interesting, but very bold claim there to say they'll finish in top 4 despite their inconsistent performances. Um,
Yeah.
But that is all for the Premier League roundup this week. We have got lots of games coming up in the Premier League. I'll tell you that. We've got 10, 13. We've got 14 games coming up over the Saturday to Thursday period as the Premier League tries to play catch up from its postponed games back in December and January as well. But that's all for your Premier League this week. And when we come back, we're going to have enough time here to do a Champions League last 16 roundup, as we had 4 of the first 8 games being played on Tuesday and Wednesday. And we'll find out how 2 of our English teams got in their first legs.
Pitchside Talk, footy debate from the Premier League Outback.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on iRadio. It's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George, and your co-host as well, Dan. And before we move on, talk about the Champions League last 16 roundup, I better mention the social medias. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk, Instagram is at Talk_Pitch, YouTube Mixcloud at Pitchside Talk. And if you want to listen back to any of our previous shows, do not worry, they're up there on YouTube Mixcloud for you to listen to them right now. And if you missed anything from today's show, do not worry. At 6 p.m. when the show is all done and dusted, it will be up on YouTube Mixcloud for you to listen back to if you missed us talk about Ipswich Town against MK Dons and the Premier League this week. Do not worry, it is all up there for you to listen back to. And now the Champions League was back for the last 16, and we had the first 4 games being played in the Champions League this week, the first of the last 16 matchups. And we had 4 games, and I'm going to go straight through for you right now. So we kicked off with PSG versus a Real Madrid, and Kylian Mbappe's brilliant goal in stoppage time was the difference on the night as PSG beat 13 times Champions League winners Real Madrid 1-0 on aggregate in the first leg. It saw a very cagey game where Lionel Messi missed a penalty against Real Madrid. He could have scored them for fun at Barcelona, but not at PSG. He missed it as Thibaut Courtois guessed the right way. But Kylian Mbappe, he got the last minute winner, which sent the Parc des Princes into riot. And now they go into a 1-0 lead over Real Madrid. And a team that has effectively maybe booked their place in the last day was Manchester City, as they won 5-0 on aggregate at Sporting Lisbon in Portugal, dominating the first leg. Even Pep Guardiola said that, they could still get back into this, but they need to score 6 goals. And we all know what Manchester City are like, but they're effectively booked their place in the last 8. And now we move on to Wednesday's games. And Bayern Munich needed a late-minute equaliser from Kingsley Coman to avoid a shock in the last 16, as Red Bull Salzburg got a goal, and it ended 1-1 on the night as they impressed. But Bayern Munich got an equaliser in the 90th minute to now make it 1-1 on aggregate. And it's not 1 or 1.5 on away goals. It is 1-1 as the away goals have been removed. And a team that would have liked away goals on their win in Italy was Liverpool, as they won 2-1 as they took a huge step into the quarterfinals with 2 late goals against Inter Milan at the San Siro. Already won there against AC, and they've now won against Inter Milan thanks to Roberto Firmino and Mo Salah scoring on the night, as the Italians tried to hold them off and even try to score a goal themselves, but they've now got all the work to do in Inter Milan. And that is all your results for the Champions League this weekend. Dan, I'm going to hand it to you so I can have a little bit of a breather here. But our English team's done well effectively here.
Yeah, they did. As I always say, I'm not a Premier League, fan of any team in the Premier League, but you always like to see the English clubs doing well in the Champions League. So yeah, Liverpool and Man City getting wins, and good to see as always. So yeah, let's see how that goes. Let's see if we can get would you like an all English final? I think I would this year.
Yeah, why not? Let's have it again for the second year in a row.
Another one.
I think that'd probably be the first time in history there's been 2 English finals in a row.
We'd love that.
I don't know if it's even happened for any country, is it? Nah, it can't.
Probably not. I'd be very surprised if it has.
I don't think Spain done it in back-to-back years, but I don't think they've done it consistently. But we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But I have some more Champions League games to mention to you for next week. We have Chelsea versus Lille, the defending European champions take on Lille. Villarreal take on Juventus. Atletico Madrid take on Manchester United, and Benfica take on Ajax in the last 16 first leg game. before then, the games are repeated again on the 8th of March, which is correct because that is a Tuesday. And that's when Town plays. So that's how I know when that game is happening. But Dan, we've now hit the end of the show. The referee's about to blow his whistle for full time. We've had all our extra time. VAR won't give us any more. They won't give us a penalty after the events of the full time whistle. But mate, thanks for being on the show today. As always, I'll guess you see you next week when we be talking about Town. They've got a double bill of games. We've got a double bill of games at home as well. I guess you're going to be going to both of them because you love Ipswich Town, don't you, mate?
I do, yes. I'll be at both of them and I'll be ready to report back to you on when we record.
Yes, be reporting back on those 6 points Ipswich Town will be winning. We'll be in the playoffs and it'll all be rosy on the night. Well, I want to thank you very much for listening to the show this week. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk, Instagram is at Talk_Pitch, YouTube, Mixcloud, both at Pitchside Talk. And if you want to listen back to anything from the show today, do not worry. It'll be up in the next few minutes on YouTube and Mixcloud. So hello, everybody on YouTube, Mixcloud. You probably can hear this right now. Breaking the fourth wall, as always, we always like to do on this show. Dan, I want to thank you very much for joining me, and we'll see you next week. And ciao.
Yeah.
The whistle has been blown for full time. Tune in next week for another jam-packed show.